off the day with making some bread, and when I'm not antiquing, I'm a homemaker, homesteader, doing all that fun stuff. So we always make our own bread, so I'm gonna make our bread today. And most of our bread is whole wheat, but I do use a little bit of bread flour, just a half a cup. It's almost a cup, so I'll need like a fourth of a cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and, this is prairie wheat. I get this from Amish store in town in Paris, Tennessee. Get our I always end up with a little bit left, even though, so I always just put this in a baggie afterwards. We have our flour in there. I use 3 cups of fresh ground prairie wheat, and then I have half a cup of bread flour, or 3.5 cups of prairie wheat and half a cup of bread flour. And that's just what I like. The bread flour helps it stick together well, and so that's why I like using the bread flour in there. Okay, so I'm gonna switch cords here. Whoops. Oh, that was plugged in. Okay. Guess we haven't made toast in a while. Okay, so to my flour, I just add a tablespoon, a heavy tablespoon, instant yeast. Get this at Costco or Amazon. I can leave a link if you guys want. And then I do a good teaspoon of salt, kind of a heaping teaspoon of salt there. 1/4 a cup, whoops, pushed the wrong thing. 1/4 cup oil, and then 1/4 cup honey is what I do for my bread. I mix that all together until it's combined, and then I let it sit for 15 minutes. Because the fresh ground prairie wheat needs that. I always do my honey after I do my oil, and because it's the same amount, it works out perfectly. Okay. And it just comes out so easy, guys, when you use the oil in there first. It kind of helps clean out the oil. of your... I make this all the time, but you know, when you're filming, you're like, forget things you do. Thing on here, and that just keeps it from drying out. This is cloth, and if you wet it, then it keeps things from drying out. If it dries, then it's not going to work. It's magic. I'm going to go ahead and make some granola. We'll do that. Okay. So that was 4 cups of oatmeal. A cup of unsweetened coconut flakes. This is sunflower seeds. I just add a little dash of that. I'm going to add 2 cups of nuts. So we have some almonds. There's only a little bit in here, so I just toss them in. We're going to do 1/2 cup of flaxseed. I like to do a little bit less of the flaxseed. It's so good for you, but my husband thinks it makes it a little bitter, but it's a good fat, so I put like probably a little less, just a little less than 1/2 cup is what I do. And then so that's our dry ingredients. I'm gonna, I got 2 cups of chopped walnuts is what we put in there. A lot of people put in pecans, but they're so expensive these days, guys, that don't like to do that. And this is kind of what I do every week. I make a loaf of bread for the Homestead, and I make oatmeal. We always have cran raisins in them. Probably not the best thing to put in them, but that's what my husband loves. And I eat this every day with some sheep yogurt. Because I have a dairy thing, but Chris will eat it with a bunch of milk in it, and it just makes for a good, quick breakfast when you don't have time to do anything else. All the nuts and all the good stuff keeps you regular, and the good fats and the walnuts are good for you. Okay, so those are just roughly chopped, and then I'll mix all of that together, and after I mix this together, then I put in my wet ingredients. And I put in my cranberries last because you want to mix those in while you're cooking them. You don't want them over dried. So you can soak them so they just absorb a bunch of water, but that takes like half an hour before you actually make the recipe, so I don't even bother with that. Sometimes I don't want to mix them later, so I don't even bother with that. So we're going to do I've been making this recipe for a long time, so I just kind of eyeball it. 1/8 of a cup of our maple syrup, brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup. I use coconut sugar, so I'm just going to use the rest of this. I did buy more coconut sugar, but probably just need a little bit more. There's organic brown sugar, or coconut sugar, for a lot cheaper or a lot smaller size, because I only use 1/4 of a cup in there. I don't need a big bag, and it seems like Walmart just has those big bags, and that can be pretty expensive. That was only $8, and the big bag costs like $18. And so if you're watching your budget, then that's good to do. 2/3 of a cup of honey, and 1/4 teaspoon of, I just kind of eyeball this too, of salt. I always use Redmond's real salt. 1 stick of butter, 1/2 cup. Cinnamon. A generous dosing is what I do. It says 1/2 tablespoon. We go through a lot of cinnamon. Vanilla, it says 1/2 tablespoon. I just give it a good glop, like so. And then I gotta melt my butter yet. So I just get a stick of butter, melt it out, and put it in there. Oh, and then the 3/3 of a cup of honey. So I just kind of, I've been doing this recipe for a while, so just kind of eyeball it. And then if it doesn't look the right consistency after I add the butter in there, then I go ahead and add maybe a little more honey. Put that in the microwave for 30 seconds. Turn on the oven. 350. Dump and stir together. Oh, this smells amazing. Every time I make it, and I've made it in plenty of videos before. I'll see if I can find the recipe in one of the other videos. But I just love it. I also need to go out and pick some herbs today. I noticed that the goldenrod is starting to come up. I like to make our own teas here on the homestead. I have more honey. I like to use holy basil, catnip, all those calming teas. The holy basil is just good for everybody because it regulates your body and is good for anxiety, regulates mood, and just all your systems, period. It's kind of a miracle herb. That's what they call it, and it comes from Israel, and that's why they call it holy basil. It's one of those amazing herbs that just to drink it in a tea. What I do is I usually make a big thing of it, let it cool, and then put it in the fridge, and it's cold. It's good cold. I mix it with a little catnip and other stuff too. So, okay, except that's a perfect consistency. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, so let's see how our bread's doing. And you can see that it's a lot softer looking. Now it's time to knead it for 15 minutes. And then we'll check on it and see if it's stretchy, if it's pulling apart and it stretches. So now I turn on another timer for 15 minutes for that, and we'll check it later. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit longer on that. 10 more minutes, we'll see how that goes. Speaking of, I haven't had breakfast yet, so. I forgot to give Mrs. Pigglesworth her treats today, so let's go do that. Mrs. Pigglesworth, you loving your bread there? It's off, don't you? Yeah, you love your bread. Oh, I don't have any more for you, sorry. Oh. Ah. I can't stand around that long or she'll think I have more for her, especially if I have a bowl or a bucket. She's like, hey, is there more? There's always a little something for her, and she just enjoys that. I always give it to her separate from her food because then I'm coming out to check on her another time during the day, and she likes that interaction since she's alone. So after we breed her again, she won't be alone for very long, but we'll just see how that goes. spatula works best for this, I find. Still makes a mess, but and I find that each batch seems to be a little bit different. It's probably because I'm not putting the ingredients in exactly each time. You can put golden raisins on this. You could leave this part out. Maybe too much sugar for you guys. But this is what my husband loves. Okay, another 10 minutes or so, or until golden brown. Okay, that's looking good to me. Now I'm going to stick this in the bottom oven. With a nice little bowl scraper. I used to make sourdough bread, and I like sourdough bread. I go through periods where I love to make it. I don't like to do it during the summer because it is so hard for me to stay consistent on it because there's so many other chores to do on the homestead. But the top oven is on, so I will this is for the granola. I'm just going to put in a reminder for myself. The top oven is on, so I'm not going to put on the proofing, but if I usually put on the proofing when I don't have something in the top oven. I thought I'd give you guys an update on our patio too. This is what our patio doors look like. And the doggy door isn't on there because we have to stain first, but the dogs are using that area. And then there is going to be a strip that goes down here to keep more bugs out. We just want to keep as many bugs out as possible. So we are all closed in now on the patio all the way around. And now the next step is letting this dry as much as possible, and then going ahead and staining all the wood with a sealer and a weather sealer, and then we will put up the screen. So exciting stuff. We are very excited about having less bugs in the house. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on, Elroy. Come on, boy. Yeah, Bubba's got to always have his bowl in the middle of the floor. Okay, let's see if this is ready to come out. Oh yeah. Nice and golden brown. So we'll just leave that up here. And when I'm going to turn this off, then I'm going to turn the lower oven on proof and push start. And so that will let that bread rise. That bread will rise pretty fast because of the very fact that it has got a lot of yeast in it. So we'll come back in about an hour and shape that bread and then put it in a loaf. books would be 5. So I can imagine this might be 5 too, but this is really cool. Boy, there's a whole cabinet full of dishes. So we're gonna look close in here. And the oven on 350. Now we'll go in a few minutes.
Glorious, and this one is called Songbirds. We have a table done. That's a big table, and I am nuts about this banner from Bavaria.
Okay, guys, there we go. Thank you for watching today. God bless, and we'll see you next time here on Hedgehog's Homestead. Bye.